see, you all let me down there. You know, I'm always forgetting to record, and no, nobody told me to record. I've too many things on my mind. Kathy Riggs, you should have let me know there that
Maybe that's for you now.
I saw Kathy on the phone on the call. She was on very, very early.
Yeah.
So
Naheed
anyway,
has joined us, Noel.
Sorry?
Naheed has joined us from India.
Oh, has she? Oh, well, we say
Yeah,
hello to the heat because it was holy. Was it yesterday or today? It was holy.
It was yesterday. Some of the people, they do celebrate it today as well.
Yeah, I saw some things I got some emails from some friends celebrating Holi. So it's a great festival in India. It's where people throw colors on each other, all different paints and everything like that. And myself and Dr. Brennan were there in 2010, Don, I think it was. We were in Delhi. And we went in, there was all this noise coming in from an apartment block next door to the Ayurvedic center we were in. And we walked in and we were absolutely covered in paint when they saw us coming in.
True stories. They saw two white faces coming in and we became wonderful targets.
These two foreigners coming into their apartment complex.
And the laughing was hilarious.
They're so friendly and they're just so delighted, and we were being offered food and we were thrown. Then they gave us paint that we could throw on them as well, you know. So it's a fantastic festival. So it was yesterday. Anyway, we'll say hello to Dr. Naheed. Hi, Dr. Naheed. Dr. Naheed.
Hi, Noel. Yeah, hey. Hi, Noel. How are you? How, Dr. Brennan?
Very good.
Hi, Dr. Chitrali.
You've had your shower, Naheed. You've taken off all the colored.
Oh, I didn't play with colors.
You didn't yesterday. You didn't get scattered with them, Holly.
No, I didn't play with colors. So I was just staying away with colors.
Okay. And how are you keeping?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Good. And is it very warm over there yet, or is the temperature
very hot? No, it's very hot.
Yeah.
Oh, and you had just become acclimatized to Irish weather, and now you go back to India.
Yeah, so I have to be like on air condition all day long. So it's been tough.
Yeah, that air conditioning is not great either. No, you need to come back to Ireland. Ireland needs you. You know, we need.
Yeah,
all the
I know that. I know. I have to rush as soon as possible.
Well, I think it's about -3 degrees. I'm actually in Bulgaria, so I'm not in Ireland at the moment. I'm in Bulgaria. This is the magic of Zoom. We've got India, Ireland, Bulgaria, and the UK, and God knows where else on the call, you know. But it's, I believe, Dr. Brennan, the weather in Ireland is pretty awful, is it? Or getting very cold?
Oh, yeah. It'll be down to -5 tonight now. And so, Naheed, you're probably better off waiting there for another few weeks.
Yeah. So all you Vata people, make sure you cover up well when you go out. Anyway, we better get started.
What time is it in India, Naheed?
It's 1 o'clock.
Well, thank you for staying up for us.
Yeah.
Okay. It's 9:30 in Bulgaria, and it must be 7:30 in the UK and Ireland. Yeah. So, Don, I think we'll get started because we've a good few people on the call now. So, if you maybe want to give us an overview, we already did this call before, but then we changed the format of the course because of certain things that happened. So maybe you want to go through the new format of the course and just give an overview to people of what they can expect from the course.
Great. Yeah, I'd love to. So it's a follow-on from our self-care course. And the self-care course was all in the context of this amazing new paradigm, which is about to become, I think, the fundamental perspective that will accelerate our human reality to a much more dignified and much more joyful and fulfilled possibility. The paradigm we've lived with is materialism. And definitely when it comes to that paradigm, we are left with an incredible confusion in relation to food and digestion. We have a scientific, physical science perspective, which is very reductionist, and that analyzing in immense detail every possible chemical in our food as much as is any way possible, and results in a hugely complex understanding of vitamins, minerals, proteins, calories, and the beginnings of insight into phytochemicals from plants that are tens and tens of thousands that we're only beginning to investigate. And the difficulty with the approach is that it's all so analytical. It leaves us with so many details that there's not a complete state of clarity. And the consequence, on the contrary, it's a state of confusion. You have the concept of functional foods where industry is creating what is supposedly healthy for you by adding chemicals that take the place of vitamins. They say vitamin C added. And you know, this functional distortion of foods under the guise of making them more healthy is just a fallacy. You've even worse now is that people living in this material paradigm and chasing you know the mortgage end up eating convenience foods, and the convenience foods are so detrimental. And it's so obvious when you look at the evolution of the chronic illnesses, from heart disease to diabetes to obesity to insulin resistance to cancers, you know, how with the alteration of the diet and the transition from natural approaches to health, how all these diseases are becoming, you know, hugely increased in their frequency. And you know, it's like the elephant in the room is the poor quality nutrition that such a huge proportion of our population are immersed in. So yes, I mean, we will discuss the scientific paradigm in terms of the nutrients and also in terms of digestion, which is another interesting one, because again, you analyze in fantastic detail all the enzymes and all the chemical reactions, not just that go on in your gut, but that go on in your cells. And all this modern perspective and understanding is fantastic, but it doesn't give you clarity. It gives increased confusion because it's such an immense complexity. It's hard to draw out any simple conclusions. And so, you know, with the obvious failing of this paradigm to bring us towards health, it is necessary for us to expand our paradigm and to revert back to the great ancient traditions, which had wisdom, which had insight, and which were based on a different point of view. And the paradigm, of course, is that we're not material entities. We're just, our material, our body is a byproduct of something else, which is far more significant and profound and wonderful, because it's our own intelligence which organizes and orchestrates every enzymatic function, every transformation that's happening, resulting in our tissues and structures. And this intelligence, of course, has its origin, and its origin is not next door in the grocery shop. The origin of all this great intelligence is in your mind. It's at the depth. It's beyond your finest thought. It's an immense being, awareness, consciousness. And in reality, this consciousness, which you are, is actually the same field which I am and which all of us are. And in reality, consciousness is what is manifesting as this whole universe. Every aspect of it is a reflection of an underlying field of potentiality, which in our lives is experienced as transcendence or pure consciousness, or that settled state of mind when all comes to stillness and awareness awakens in totality, and we are that field of consciousness. So that field of consciousness is the essence of everything, and that field of consciousness manifests as everything. And that's why what is most interesting is not the actual material, but the relationships. The relationships. How do I relate to you? If I relate to you in total integrity, if I am in total integrity within my own being, I am in the same, by the same process, I have integrated with your being, and you and I begin to be so intimate in our perspective that we recognize we are one, and that's called love. And that's the awakening of a new paradigm, and a paradigm which would have humanity relate to each other with immense significance and great benefit for every one of us and for the planet as a whole. And this awakening is an awakening through our relationship. So we can evolve through our relationship with each other in the same way as we can evolve with our relationship within ourselves, and integrating our mind and body and settling our mind to stillness and becoming that being. So that's on the inner stroke, our awakening. And through the process of relationships and increasing qualities of relationships, then we become one. And I awaken, I evolve through you, through our relationships. So we relate. And that is the essence of Ayurveda. It is the qualities of our relationships. It's the qualities of all the relationships that make up my body. Every cell, every bacteria, every virus, every organ, every aspect that makes up this awareness or consciousness has its qualities, its overall qualities, my nature. Similarly, your nature, Vata Pitta Kapha, is about the qualities, and then how we relate, you and I. So these qualities of the relationship. So this is a fantastic paradigm which gives us immense possibilities of growth within and without. And this is the paradigm which gives rise and birth to the understandings of Ayurveda. And so we relate one to the other. I get to know you. The better I get to know you, the better I get to like you. I begin to have more deep appreciation of you. And as the years go by, I recognize unique aspects of you which enliven me and bring me joy. And it's the same with food. It's exactly the same with food. You have a relationship with food. To what extent do you know the foods that you imbibe? To what extent do you experience and appreciate them? How is this relationship? Is it such a relationship that brings you increasing fulfillment on every level of mind and body and spirit? You know, this is the approach of Ayurveda, where we know foods through their qualities, the qualities of the food. Food is, in Ayurveda, living beings. The cabbage, the Brussels sprouts, they're living beings. They have their qualities, their consciousness in a different form, which will nourish our consciousness in a fantastic relationship. And the relationship is that I recognize their qualities. And through Ayurveda, I recognize through tastes the very nature. So I'm getting to know foods. I'm getting to know how, through their qualities, through my capacity to taste. And then through their effect. There's an effect of foods pretty immediate. So that influence of the food on my being, I can experience that. But I can only experience these things to the extent that I'm aware, to the extent that I'm awake. And so the descriptions in Ayurveda are in terms of this wonderful relationship of recognizing the qualities and the tastes and the effects immediate and the effects in time. Like any friendship, it's over time. We see more effects from our interaction some hours later. And then effects that over the long term dawn on us, the specific attributes of the foods, the individual nature. This is what is described in Ayurveda. And this is what our Vaidya's will be giving you in great detail, such that you can have much more perspective on the foods and their relationship with you, and how you, through this understanding, can make your choices to have much more integrity in through foods in your life. So very profound. But Ayurveda is not just about the food, the form. Ayurveda is about that relationship. So it's not enough that you should know about the foods. You should know how to handle them. You know, what's your kitchen like? What foods are you choosing, and how are you processing, and how are you preparing, and what are the instruments? And so it's nice to have the insight into, you know, the whole process of your preparing of foods, plus, and even more importantly, how you go about eating. You know, what are the specific things to keep in mind, so that in the process of you're imbibing the foods, you're doing so in a way which is just so appropriate and so natural and so right. And then, of course, understanding all the different processes of transformation of the foods within you. And what we're trying to awaken within you is Ayurveda. Ayurveda is the knowledge of life. It's an innate wisdom. And so the descriptions of the agnis, or digestive fires, and the consequences of different types of agnis, it's not an intellectual exercise that we're really about. It's about giving you the insight into how you feel in this relationship with food. Is the food leaving you inspired, enlivened, energized, or are you actually sensitive enough to perceive the effects of the foods you're eating? You see, if you have a nice meal of organic, pure, local ingredients, and you feel the effects, and compare that with a big, stodgy, heavy, processed food, there's a big difference in how you are. And it's to awaken this awareness within you, so that you spontaneously and naturally are motivated to choose the better foods, the best way of imbibing the foods, and that you cultivate an intelligent relationship with the foods that, you know, become you. It's like, if that relationship is distorted, remember, this will be you from tomorrow on, the foods that you've ingested today. And if you've done it right, you're a better you. And if you're not so wised up, and you're rushing to eat a pre-packaged, pre-prepared, processed meal, then okay, that's your choice. But you're not as good a you tomorrow as you were today if you're eating that sort of what goes as food. So it's such a fundamental thing. It's not just for yourself, it's for your loved ones, because, you know, it's how we nourish each other as well. And I love the fact that Dr. Chitrali has chosen to take topics like feeding children, feeding babies, feeding adolescents as part of our topics. And that Dr. Naheed is going to give us all the insights into the digestion and the ways of going about handling the food. I'm doing the uninteresting bit of the medical paradigm and the processes of digestion from the Western point of view and the nourishing point of view. And Dr. Chitrali will be helping you establish this relationship through taste of qualities and effects of food on you. And Dr. Rajvinder comes in with her specific genius in bringing this to life in the practical strategies of your foods, studying the foods themselves, different grains, and the different ways of using your foods for healing at different conditions as well. So what I love about these Vajas is, you know, there's so much knowledge there. It's only to be tapped. And we're giving them, Noel is providing us with the opportunity to draw out from these this great ancient wisdom that these wonderful Vajas are the custodians of, and that we can put a course together. The course will run in terms of 8 lectures, and initially we had intended a more extended course, but that was because we thought we were going to be training people to be practitioners. So now we've compactified it, simplified it a little, and instead of putting people, the traumas of traveling and having in-person practical weekends, we can do a lot by Zoom. So we would be sending out video before each talk, and we would suggest that you see the videos, because these are the practical cookery things in the kitchen that are being demonstrated, and the talks will go on for about an hour, and then we would be allowing an hour and half an hour at least for questions and answers. But more specifically, we would be suggesting you look at the videos so that you have any questions, you can get them answered on the evening of the talk. So that will be the way this course is structured, so that you're able to do it from home yourself. But I'm sure Dr. Naheed, Dr. Chitrali could add to that, because it's a course evolving, and every time they talk, I learn. So Dr. Chitrali or Dr. Naheed would wish to add, please do.
Yeah. So it was a very brief introduction about the course by Dr. Brennan. And he did talk about more of consciousness, and with consciousness, that's how your life will be healthy, and it will be, you will be healthy for a longer life. Okay. So along with all the topics, we do have few exciting things into that about how you have to drink water. That also Ayurveda talks about, how water is drank, and there are different ways to drink. So that topic will be included. Even it will be including about fasting. So dietetics in nutrition is not only about food or what we are eating, but will be even guiding you about what fasting is and what Ayurveda talks about fasting, and how and which constitution should go for fasting, and what are the myths about fasting. So everything will be included in this. Along with that, even few garden herbs, if you have a good garden at your place, and if you are really interested into gardening, so we'll be including that as well into our topics. And even, yes, Dr. Raj is going to talk about the kitchen pantry and how you have to arrange everything. So that is also one of the very practical inputs which will be included during the lectures. Yeah, so this is what I wanted to just talk about. So maybe Dr. Naheed, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I think Dr. Brennan and Dr. Chitrali has nicely covered all the topics which we have planned by so far, and how we are going to take our practical sessions, that also Dr. Brennan has explained. Few of the things that I would like to add is that food is considered as one of the pillar in for your life, along with your sleep and abstinence. Then in many scriptures, in many chapters, in many ways, the importance of food has been explained in different ways, like especially the quantity of the food, how one person should choose the quantity of the food. So one of the example is it's based on your digestive capacity. The second example could be based on your body type. So we'll be covering, I'll be covering these topics, like what should be the guidelines to have your foods. So there are different concepts regarding the guidelines of foods, like how you should be preparing your foods. So what nature of food should be required. Like suppose if you are into weight loss journey, then your food quality should be rough, should be dry in nature. So we'll be going through into this as well. And then along with that, the most asked questions, I think one of the most asked questions was about incompatible diet. So I'll be covering the entire concepts of incompatible diet. There are 18 different categories in which we can, like categorize the incompatible diet. There will be multiple examples from our day-to-day life where you can choose and select that, okay, this is the contradictory food and I should not be continuing this and I should be switching to the healthier options. And there will be things like metabolism. The Dr. Brennan is going to cover the entire part of digestion, how the food is going, like from the time you're keeping the food in your mouth to the way, and when you're expelling out from your body, the entire system, every little part is going to cover. And I will try to cover the Ayurvedic perspective of that part so that you have an idea and you have a correlation with that. And definitely Agni is the most important part in Ayurveda. So I'll be going through into Agni and Amas. So because when your Agni is not working properly, then we form Ama. And when you have Ama, how will you recognize? So there will be sign and symptoms. There will be discussion how you can manage amas. And then Dr. Chitrali will come up with all the things like the practical aspects, how you can design your meal, how you can have the foods as per your body type. And Dr. Rajwinder has also planned some of the very practical aspects to help you with your day-to-day life and to plan your regime. So we all are hoping that it's going to be a great course. We tried our level best in the first course, and we'll be looking forward to meet you all to make it, a bigger success than our first one. So yeah, hope to meet you all from 21st of March. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Dr. Naheed, thank you very much. So I think
Can
that
I
was
come in
great.
again, though? Could I
Sorry,
again? They inspire me again, and I get going again. Sorry.
go ahead.
So, yeah, we did that self-care course in order to give people an awareness, a sensitivity, sort of a recognition, a more clarity about their own nature and what suits them and what doesn't. And I think people who did that course were very much aware of having gained some insights, basically, which is what it's all about. But the whole purpose of that course, really, and the whole purpose of Atapita Kapha, keeping your balance and all of that, is so that when you go into this process of agni or transformation of nourishment into your various tissues and into your feelings and thinking and all that you're imbibing, transforming, that those transformations result in what ultimately Ayurveda calls ojas, which is the physiology of an enlightened being. And so, the kernel comes back down to digestion. The rest is as a preparation. So we try to get you to bed and get you up on good time so you're in tune with your body and so that your digestion and your metabolisms work better. We try and get you to do an oil massage and to balance your vata, your pitta, and your kapha in order that things work better. So really, the self-care course was aiming towards this course. And this course comes as a fulfillment to take the increased awareness that you're gaining and the increased ongoing sensitivity you're starting to recognize in the good things that you've done, which made the difference in how you feel. So now we want to take that into the whole realm of the transformation of the nourishment into your tissues and into good health. And so it's lovely if you can, continue on this journey. And for those who haven't done the previous course, it's there for you to catch up on at any time. And I think we're going to have another good course, actually. So I'd look forward to learning, as I always do, in the presence of these Vajas.
Okay, Don, thanks very much. So I think we've given a good synopsis of the whole course there. You know, the one thing that comes back to me all the time is how individual Ayurveda is, that, you know, people might think, you know, a course about diet and digestion, it'll be the same instruction for everybody, because that tends to be the way, you know, knowledge is given out these days. But the reality is nothing could be further from the truth when it comes to Ayurveda, because it's your individual relationship with food that Dr. Brennan was talking about, which is different than my relationship with food. And that's all comes down to Vata, Pitta, Kapha, which we covered a lot in the first course, and the qualities of Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and you know in your nature, because some foods that you could eat might cause you to become upset or sick or get acid indigestion, and they wouldn't have the same impact on somebody else. So it's all about knowledge and knowing and being able to choose the right foods for you, and then all that information about the different herbs and spices. Like I remember Maharishi talking about food and plants and herbs, and he said, like, nature's intelligence is in the herbs. That consciousness or intelligence is in the herbs, it's in the plants, and that's why they have medicinal qualities. Because what happens is if you have some illness, there's a lack of intelligence. The intelligence is broken down somewhere in the physiology, but you imbibe that intelligence through the food that you eat, and you can then help to reverse that particular condition. So it's a knowledge of the food, it's a knowledge of the digestion, it's putting the whole thing together. Now, I don't want anybody on the call that hasn't done the self-care course to feel that, oh God, I have to do that one first before I do this one. I can tell everybody on this call that, as always, the knowledge will be repeated again and again and again. And you're going to hear a lot of things on this course that you already heard on the previous course, because that's the way we teach in the Ayurveda Center. We don't teach through stress and strain, and, you know, we don't have exams as such. We have, you know, questionnaires that you can fill up if you like, you know, but there's no pressure put on people, because we're not about stress and strain. And the ideal way to learn is through repetition. Just through repetition, listening easy and just going back over the thing. And that's why the videos will be made available to you. You'll be able to go back over them. There's going to be two types of videos. We're going to be sending out videos of cookery demonstrations of how to make certain things like ghee and detox teas and how to do basic meals and all that, that the doctors are preparing those. You'll get them before each lecture. And then you come on during the week on a Tuesday, starting on Tuesday, the 21st of March, and every Tuesday and Thursday for 4 lectures, and they're live lectures, live webinars. They're not cookery demonstrations, they're more theoretical, talking about the food and how the understanding of it, and then that's complemented with the videos that are sent out. If you can't come on a Tuesday or Thursday night, that's no problem. We'll record them. You'll have access to all of those videos as well. So basically you have the 8 lectures, and also you have a whole range of cookery videos that will be sent out to you that you can go through. And then you can go back over them in your own time. And for people that haven't done the self-care course, we are starting in them. We have those lectures already made. This diet and digestion course, if you're thinking, oh, well, I can't do it now because something is happening. There's always something happening with some people. You know, we'll run this again in September once we have these lectures made. I always say, I think there's something always a little bit special about the first course that we do, the live one, because the videos will be recorded live. But that doesn't take away from the fact that the knowledge is still there for people who want to do this course later on. So it's a very unique course. I think you can see from Dr. Brennan's introduction that it's not your standard cookery type course. You know, it's going much deeper into your relationship with food. There's an Irish saying, Don, maybe you give me the exact translation of it, is Bia Bio. I think it means food is God. Is it?
Food is life.
Food is life. Okay.
Yes.
Life is God. So,
so
food is life. It's Bia Bio. Okay. So that's how important in Irish tradition that food was seen to be. And I heard something on the radio the other day about the amount of ultra processed foods that are for sale in our supermarkets nowadays. Like, it's some huge percentage of the foods that are on the shelves when you go into any supermarket are ultra processed. And basically, from my perspective, I would say not only of no value to you, but probably of a detrimental value to your health as well, you know, because your body just isn't designed to cope, to deal with them. And then that's why we have all these problems with obesity and diabetes and all these other issues that are related, irritable bowel syndrome, all these other issues that are related to food. Food and digestion is so important when it comes to your health. And I'm also hoping to visit an organic farm in Ireland. and make a short video of it to show you the type of foods that they have there, and maybe talk to the owner of the farm as well, and encourage everybody to find a local grower, because there are local growers everywhere now. They're coming up all over the place, you know. So what we'll do now is that you have an explanation of it. We'll go to a Q&A, a short Q&A. I see a question in, it came to me directly, but I'll give it to the doctors. It says, will the course cover weaning a baby? Thank you. I'm not too sure if that's one of the topics that Chitrali's nodding her head.
There's the topic. So I'll be talking about that, how to wean the babies. So how you have to start with the fruit, with then slowly with mashed food grains, and then slowly with wholesome food. So that's how diet for babies, then even diet for children, adolescent age. And I'll be talking more about even, one sec, diet for, yes. And even I'll be covering few common disorders as well, and how you have to tackle them at home only with food or any easily available spices at home.
Okay, so that answers that question.
Can I add?
Yeah, great.
Can I add something to that?
Yes, yes, sure.
Yeah, so Ayurveda has a branch called especially dedicated to pediatrician, like especially related to the babies. And there they have explained that from which month you should start giving fruits to the baby, and from which month you should start giving the solids to the baby. And Dr. Chitrali is going to cover all of these topics. So that's called Phala Prashana. That means that when you are introducing fruits to the baby, and then Anna Prashana, it means when you are introducing the solid to the baby, and she'll be covering that. So that will be interesting to learn more about that.
And you see, on this wonderful Mother's Day, Ladies' Day globally today,
Yeah.
it is great that we can celebrate the fact that we have 3 mothers that actually will be guiding us on this course.
Very good.
They will be speaking not theory, but the actual practice they've had. And I'm sure the babies will have taught them a lot.
So
but what I was also thinking there, Noel, is in the same sense that with the previous course, it's not something, you know, that people learn and then are done with and move on in their life. This is a knowledge that you'll keep coming back to, and that we learn through also our mistakes. So, you know, the interesting thing is that with the knowledge of the course behind you, you'll recognize increasingly when you make mistakes. So you'll always actually go forward 2 steps and take a step back. And so this is an ongoing process. This is life. Life is a learning process. And it's wonderful to introduce a depth of experience and awareness through your understanding of Ayurveda, especially in relation to the digestion and the foods, that you can evolve and integrate this knowledge over the years to come. And it's lovely that Noel will be leaving these videos available to you for a year so that you can come back to them until you're sure that you have integrated sufficient of the knowledge to take you forward for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Don, because I mean, I think once you have this knowledge, and then if you stop using it or you go off track, nature always sends a little message to send you back on track. And the fact that you've gone over this, then you remember, oh God, yeah, that's why I'm feeling that way, or that's why that didn't, you know. So nature tends to be very helpful in the way that it can remind you of these things, you know.
The gas, no, you have irritable bowel before you do Ayurveda, and you think, oh my God, this is terrible. You know, why does life do this to me? And then you do Ayurveda and you get irritable bowel, and you have to change your whole set of thinking. You say, oh my God, why do I do this to myself?
Yeah, exactly.
So it empowers you to get out of the problem and do the right thing for yourself.
Yeah, no, generally a lot of the suffering that we have is caused by our own doing in one way or another. And that's just not being awake to nature and reality. And that's just the times we live in, but there are times that are changing, you know. So anyway, as I say, the course starts on the 21st of March, which is this month, obviously. So I sent out the details of how you can book. You can pay in 1 installment, or you can pay in 3 installments. And And so if anyone wants to do it, that's all they need to do. They just need to make the booking on the course. I'll get the email in here. I'll put them on the list, and then we'll send out the well, we'll be sending out the first couple of March, actually. So not too far away. We'll be sending that out to people so that they can have a look at that before they come on the first call. And then we'll be sending one video out each week before the thing. And then on the 21st, we start with our first lecture, you know.
Yeah, an interesting question there for Nahid or Chitrali. On the topic of feeding kids in the families, is it best for kids to sit cross-legged while eating to ground themselves? There you are now. What do you say to that, ladies?
Yes, that's really a good question. And yes, if you sit in cross-leg and have food, that helps to digest well, basically. So when the kid is sitting on the chair, what happens is most of the time the legs are hanging in the air. So they are not grounded, or they keep on fidgeting with the legs, or they do something. There's some movement going on all the time when they are having food. But when they sit down cross legs, so that helps that they sit at one place and have food, so that the food which they are taking in is digested well. And that's how it helps to early, like the digestion process goes on well, and they don't have any other symptoms like stomach ache because of eating very fast, or even drinking a lot of water at a time. So that these all things are very minute. And if you think in a way that sitting at one place and having food without even switched on with any television in front of you, and just having a family dinner together also helps for good assimilation and digestion of that food. Yes, Dr. Do you want to add anything?
Well, I'm just thinking about it because, you know, you do have to pump blood back from your toes to your heart. And, you know, there's the lower that the legs hang, the more of a column of blood that needs to be worked on to bring it back up. Now, if the children's legs are crossed, then there isn't that great column of blood. It means then that there's less energy and effort going into the circulation. And also there's the blood is, you know, not just being pooled in the lower limbs, it's actually, there isn't any pooling of blood. So it's leaving more of the circulation, which is, you know, if you're doing a good process of digesting, sitting in a relaxed way, enjoying the food, enjoying the company, your parasympathetic nervous system now is operating, sending blood to your gut, primarily to your gut. So that's getting most of the blood outflow. That's not necessary for the brain and other maintenance organs, but at least during the meal, the blood flow to the gut is increased. And that process will be helped by the child's, you know, sitting cross-legged. So that's an interesting question, Ali. I never thought of that myself.
And we have so much of integrative knowledge here. Like we talk about Ayurveda, and then we have Dr. Brennan here who even gives his insights about the modern view. So it is really very helpful to understand to any common man here.
That's lovely, Chitrali, because that's what we want. We want the best of medicine. And the medicine is so great in the amount of evidence it's producing to show how Ayurveda was always right. And medicine has so many other insights to bring from the physical paradigm. What's really lovely is that the physical paradigm of medicine may not be inclusive of the intelligence and the consciousness. And the physical paradigm of medicine is included in Ayurveda. Ayurveda has that perspective to where it can really relish the medical point of view.
Okay. So that all said, though, don't anybody needn't feel that they have to get rid of their dining room table and that everybody's going to be sitting cross-legged around the kitchen floor. Okay, we're not going to be expecting that of you. It's a nice idea. I don't cross my legs when I eat myself, but I'm sure the same theory applies to adults as it does to children. But maybe I'll try it. Maybe I'll try it out. But don't get rid of the kitchen table just yet. So listen.
So Gillian is asking about children.
Yeah, no, but
Really
there, look, we'll stick to that's. We're going more into a Q&A about we'll stick to a Q&A about the course for tonight. We'll have a general Q&A next Wednesday night. Okay, this is just we wanted to do a promo on the course itself. You know, so these questions will all be questions that we'll be dealing with during the course itself, you know. So once you understand the structure of the course, I mean, it's the same question, basically, a repeat of the one that was there anyway, you know. So if anyone has any practical questions they want to ask about the course itself, I think it's all very, very straightforward. If you want to do it, we will repeat this course. We're going to repeat all of the courses. This, as I say, the self-care course is going to be repeated in April with Dr. Brennan. We'll run this diet and digestion course again in the autumn. And I mean, if you can't make it this time, there will be an opportunity the next time. This course, as I've already said, is definitely going ahead. We have the numbers already to do the course. So this was just a promotion to get as many people as possible to come along, especially the people who did the initial course, but not especially, but obviously they did that. So they know the type of course that we're capable of putting together, you know. So Dr. Rajvinder wasn't able to be with us this evening. However, she's a huge part of this course as well. I mean, many of you may know Dr. Rajvinder from the cookery courses that she's run. She's been doing cookery courses with the Ayurveda Center now for you know, for decades, you know, for a long, long time. So she's very highly qualified in that whole area of food. She just couldn't make it along this evening, but she's definitely. So I really think we've covered everything we need to cover, really. What I'll do is I'll make a copy of this video available. I'll send it out on Saturday with the Saturday newsletter. Don't forget to come and join us next Wednesday night, the same Zoom link at the same time with the same doctors, but we'll be doing a general Q&A then. So any questions you have about any health issues, we'll try get
your health issue in early, because you know it comes to the end and there's 60 unanswered questions because you know people started thinking during the course. So if you have an issue, get in early with your question. If you want
because what I tend to do is read down from the top. So I mean, we do miss out on you know, I mean, I think the other week there was still 60 questions there, but it's just not possible to get through all the questions. But if you do have something very specific that you want to ask, then you know, when you come online, put your chat in, and then when we start, I'll read that question out to the doctors, and one of the doctors will take that question, you know. Okay, everybody, I think that's it. And Naheed, it's time you went to bed over there. It's very late at night time. Must be nearly 2 o'clock in the morning there at that stage. And it's getting to my bedtime as well. It's 10:30 here in Bulgaria. So, okay, everybody, that's great.
Lovely to see you all on our course. Familiar faces and faces new, all welcome.
Okay, so thanks very much, doctors, for coming on and explaining about the new course. A lot of thank yous coming in there, so that's great. And thank you, everybody, for coming on and joining us this evening. And hopefully we'll see you on that course, but hopefully we'll see you next week on the Q&A as well, you know. Okay, everybody, thank you. I'm going to sign off. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.